Hey, yo, happy holidays. It's a Monday. I'm Dominic D'Angelo of adfreeshows.com, secoops.com, and studio1sports.com. But I'm here with Mr. Robert Karplus, W creative underscore ish. Robert, I nailed it. Happy Monday to you.
What the hell is one sport? What was that thing you just named?
Studio One Sports. It's my new little channel thing going on.
Since when? I've been sitting here like for an hour and I get nothing. You sound like you're in a bunker somewhere. It's like Hitler's last days on your side, except there's a very festive
Yes.
garland or something. Did you make this?
No, I didn't. I'm in Trace Brewing in Pittsburgh, where the deceased man was laying there for a while behind me. Same place,
Hmm.
but different spot.
Well, happy to be here. It's gonna be an interesting show today. That's for darn sure. So a couple of programming notes right up at the top. This will be our only live broadcast this week, as Mr. D'Angelo will be traveling tomorrow for the holidays. Apparently, there's a holiday Wednesday and Thursday. I was unaware Hanukkah ended last evening. It was fantastic. I will be back next Tuesday. I'll be traveling for my birthday. So that'll be fun. But fear not, if you are a working stiff fan, and why wouldn't you be for listening to this show? We'll be doing our annual live working stiff holiday recording tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. Eastern. Dom is even going to take some time away from hanging out with his boy Vince Russo to join us for a little bit of that. So if you are a Patreon subscriber, you'll be able to tune in live. If not, you'll be able to hear the broadcast at a later time. But we're going to say hi to the folks joining us here in the chat. Cammy Star says, after morning, guys. Johnny Disco says, happy morning, R and I. Wrestling All Ahead says, good after morning to you all, R and I. Dirty Don succumbs to the shoulder curse, which is starting to feel like the NFL Madden cover curse. We'll get to that in a moment. Willie Thornbrew says, good job in advance. I know you will nail the open. He did. Might not really be able to hear it since he sounds like he's currently slowly being muffled by a pillow. But he is there. Dre Owens says, hello, R and I. Get well, Dom Mysterio. And did Dom see the teaser for the new Chris Nolan movie?
No, the Odyssey.
I saw that it came out. I literally saw it on my phone a few minutes before. I've not had a chance to watch it yet. I'm sure we're both very excited for the Odyssey. It's a Christopher Nolan movie. Like it's going to be good. What's little bit of a fun pro tip: if you haven't seen One Battle After Another, they surprise dropped it on HBO
Yeah.
on Saturday night. So now it's streaming. If you have HBO Max or you have regular television like me as an old man, do yourself a favor between now and the end of the year and catch a little of that movie. Devin Dowling throwing us an A-yo and an A-ho-ho-ho.
Hey, nice.
And then
Nice.
says Brass Ring Media, one true sport, Road Dogs show now one sport. Dom is a media mogul. He's like Diddy, but more problematic.
Wow.
What's also problematic for us is we're in this world right now where World Wrestling Entertainment and our friends over at AEW have already recorded all their programming for this week. And we are not a show that is going to spoil anything of what occurred, but it's also very hard to speak in like double kayfabe of like, I wonder what's going to happen tonight with Javon Evans. Well, the fun is the spoilers are out there. And those of you who have been longtime wrestling fans going back years, months, decades, centuries, whatever it may be, you remember a world where Raw used to be taped 2-3 weeks in advance. SmackDown was taped every week. You can still tune in, you can still enjoy the show, you can still take the emotional ride that they're going to have and just avoid the spoilers. And AEW showed us last week with their show from the UK, they're not going to shy away from doing big things on a tape show. You had the MJF return several hours before it aired on TV, and it was trending. And the only reason I saw is because I saw he was trending on social, and I needed to make sure that my friend was not, dead or worse, said something problematic on Twitter.
That's essential. That's essential. Yeah, it's a very strange week. I thought there would be a little bit more to kind of expect for both programming, more particularly WWE, since we talked about, I think this last week, is it's both SmackDown and Raw don't fall on like the Christmas holiday. So there's a little bit of buffer. I would think you could kind of build some goodwill a little bit with fans by piping some things up a little bit more than what they've been doing, I guess. But WWE's just punting the ball, it seems, to 2026.
which is fine. I think that they've kind of realized to really overstress yourself to go out and put quality programming on at a week that is. This is a very strange kind of corridor of time if you're looking at these next 2 weeks, simply because Christmas falling in the middle of the week. So Christmas Eve, Wednesday, Christmas Day, Thursday, people are traveling like as of now. I see coworkers of mine, they left for PTO on Friday. And this whole week is just a non-entity week. And then that bleeds into next week where you have New Year's Eve on Wednesday into New Year's Day, Thursday. So folks are not going to be home. They're not part of their regularly scheduled lives. I know I'm going to be, out traveling. Dom's going to be traveling for the holiday. It's big Robert birthday weekend on Saturday. I know there is still an AEW pay-per-view on Saturday, so they've got their crew that has to get out there to set that sucker up on Friday. But having worked WWE Christmas, the worst was when they would do the tribute to the troops special, simply because the crew, like the road crew, was out, but everyone had to go work production. We all had to come in and assemble the footage and piece it all together, and these are all in like little grab bags that they had made, and it's like, wait, where's the mini digibeta tape that has this trip with troops or this interview or this thing, and you're hodgepodging it together so everybody's in the office, everybody's working. The fun tradition at WWE for years was Uzo Day. That was always the Christmas tradition. This goes back to, I don't know if you remember the Germ, George Germanakis. They used to do these things, George and Adam. They were like these little vignettes in the late 90s. Adam Panucci, who's still there, he was on Raw, or he was not on Raw, he was on Saturday Night's Main Event. He came out for John Cena's farewell. He's the guy who cut a lot of those video packages for years and years and years. But George and Adam worked in the office. They worked in Master Control, which is where they used to film WWF Mania with Todd Pettengill. And George, who's I saw him at Mania, so I know he's still there. He was in the WrestleMania 9 documentary. Proud Greek man. My name sounds Greek. It's not Greek. George Shermanakis is as Greek as it gets. He's 95% chest hair.
Swarthy.
He would go around just pouring Uzo down people's throats. And it became this thing to where Uzo Day was literally that the company would order like dozens of bottles of Uzo, which is an absolutely disgusting licorice tasting liqueur drink, whatever it is. They would get food, and everybody would progressively have more and more and more Uzo. It was supposed to start at noon, but kind of like a Dominic D'Angelo program, it didn't start at the time it was assigned. It started several hours. Like by 9:30, you're already dipping into the Uzo. And at the TV studio at 120 Hamilton, you had the ability, if you picked up any phone, you could dial and you could page anybody in the building, because world before cell phones were really prevalent, wasn't great cell phone signal. So you would say like, all right, Carp, call 352, Carp 352. As Uzo Day progressed and people had the ability to make pages throughout the entire building, it got blue in a hurry.
Oh boy.
It was a little risque. One year, Vince actually did show up for Uzo Day. He like kicked open the door and didn't know what was going on. Interesting place. Good times. Weird memory. Not where I thought this conversation was going to go, and yet, Dom, here we are.
Well, I have to follow up. So, were you known as Carp amongst your WWE colleagues?
In a lot of places, I've gone by Carp. It just kind of became a thing. In hockey, it was Carpy, simply because in hockey, they always take your first thing and then they add the little IE or the Y at the end. I just, it was whatever it was. So Carpy, it all just kind of worked. See, Wrestling Old Head says Blue Chew ad incoming. It's the holidays, man. Like we're trying to stay, classy here. But yes, if you want your bells jingled, yes, fellas, you know what time it is. It's time to level up, and Blue Chew just dropped something crazy. I'm talking next level championship belt, gold-plated energy Blue Chew's the newest innovation for the #1 chewable ED brand. This ain't your grandpa's little blue pill. This is the 4-in-1 beast incarnate that's setting the gold standard for performance. We're talking 2 ingredients for blood flow to keep that rocket pumping, mixed with apomorphine and oxytocin to turn up the arousal and connection in your brain and body. This is basically putting your downstairs through the performance center. You're going to be coming out bigger and better than ever. And we've got a special deal for our listeners. Get 10% off your first month of Blue Chew Gold with code RUMOR. That's promo code RUMOR. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring this holiday episode of Rumor and Innuendo. If you want your stocking stuffed, BlueChew.com, promo code RUMOR.
BlueChew.com, everybody. Yes, indeed. Well, Robert, we do have a Raw tonight, and there is a lineup. And it has been taped, like you mentioned already. But Javon
Here's
Evans.
the intriguing thing about. So this is what going to before you tee it up.
Yep.
When you know it's a pre-taped Raw or WWE program, what they tend to do is they're going to give you 1 or 2 matches, usually with a little bit of extended time, to get the hardcore wrestling fan to want to tune in and see it, because they know there's not going to be a huge reveal. We're not going to find out that like who the mystery man is. We already know who it is, but there's not going to be a big, huge, pivotal storytelling moment. So let's give you matches that make it worth tuning in. So with that, Dom.
With that, we got Rhea Ripley taking on Asuka, which is definitely like a WrestleMania kind of caliber match when hyped up right. So to your point, that is going to be the big headliner of a match going down. Plus, you have the athleticism of Javon Evans taking on Rhea Americano. Is that how you say it?
Rayo Americano. Rayo Americano, who I don't know about you, passing resemblance to Pete Dunne.
Yeah. I wonder where. Yeah, where's the Bruiserweight been? Right?
I don't know where he's been, but yes, the possibility of a dude who kind of sort of maybe kayfabe looks like Pete Dunne taking on Javon Evans. It's a pretty good reason to tune in. Bayley, Roxanne Perez, Rhea Ripley, Asuka. What more do you want? And I'm sure, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, elbow to the side. We'll hear from Paul Heyman.
Yeah, I would assume that's expected, right? Right.
It's what the holidays are all about.
It really is. Robert, also on tap that I had typed out here was Trick Williams. So, spoiler free and everybody, but according to BodySlam.net, former TNA World Champ Trick Williams has officially been called up to the WWE main roster and is now listed internally on the SmackDown brand. Robert, how would you utilize Trick Williams? Do you think he's ready to be on the main roster? And yeah, what would be the best way to position him on the SmackDown roster?
I don't know. If I'm being perfectly honest, this is a weird time to be bringing Trick Williams in.
Mm-hmm.
I know that SmackDown is going to 3 hours starting next week.
Forgot about that.
I know Devin Dowling is suggesting that Trick. Oh, I can't. Never mind. Take that. We can't say Devin Dowling's thing because it is veering into spoiler territory. But Trick's former tag partner is on SmackDown. That being Carmelo Hayes, so you could sort of replicate that. I don't know how steep the learning curve is going to be for Trick Williams on the main brand. He is one of those guys who'd been in NXT for a while, obviously former TNA World Champion. It felt like he had some momentum building with the audience, but what we were seeing in the ring didn't really transcend where it was, this is a must-see situation. Which like, I got to see this Trick Williams match. I think we're still in a world where we're waiting for Jacob Fatu to return on SmackDown and step up. It felt like Obafemi was getting some momentum going with Drew McIntyre. So it was like, if anyone was going to potentially get called up, it may have been Obafemi. You're getting into the Royal Rumble where Trick's not going to win the Rumble. So he's just a body that's going to be in there. He's not going to be a part of WrestleMania. He's not going to be a part of Elimination Chamber. So you're bringing a guy in who's going to kind of languish a little bit on SmackDown. Unless I'm missing something, Dom.
No, I think you got a point, and I do think maybe like the best route to take with somebody like Trick. Everybody's kind of like, his ring work has been criticized and stuff like that, but he's got charisma to the gills when it comes to things. I would do like the more classic kind of WWE style of having vignettes of him week in and week out and building him and making him feel like a bigger deal where you don't necessarily have to put him in situations where he languishes. He's just a different aspect of the show that really puts a highlight on his charisma and his ability to get himself over from a personality standpoint, more so than anything else. I think that would be the best way to handle him for now. And then you hype him up, and then when he finally maybe makes an in-ring video, I don't know what goes on SmackDown. I have no clue for spoilers, but that's how I would handle him for the most part. I would keep him on there, but I would utilize him in vignettes more so than anything.
Not a bad idea, but yeah, I think he's definitely a personality call up more than an in-ring technical call up for right now. That will improve over time, but there's only so many people that you can be focused on in trying to elevate. And it's, you've got the whole MFT crew. There's, varied level of talent within there. It felt like they're kind of getting behind Tawatonga to be this interesting attraction, but you're pairing him up there with Eric Rowan, which ain't doing him any favors. You're still trying to elevate the Wyatt Six. You've got, the Fraxium guys and DIY and all the tag teams that are bouncing around there. And then you got folks like the Street Profits who seem to have like fallen off the face of the earth a little bit.
My gosh, yeah, that's another thing that they could maybe like doing something eventually with Montez and Dawkins could kind of help a little bit of that brand too in a big way. I think. I mean, we all want Montez to go singles route and get built up in the right manner, but will they do it? That's going to be the question.
I mean, look, we're approaching the end of 2025. I feel like the last 3-4 years when it's been end of year recaps of like, who do you want to see break out in the next year? And it's been Montez Ford. Clock is ticking.
It sure is, right? Hey, clock is not necessarily ticking for Seth Rollins, but he did make some interesting comments. I believe it was on one of the football shows that he had, but he mentioned, it was via Bleacher Report, I think. Yeah.
Well, he was out at the Chicago Bears game, hyping up the crowd.
Yeah. Well, get this too, Robert. Apparently, he's going to be on the broadcast for the Christmas broadcast of the Minnesota Vikings game. He's going to be part of the broadcast team. So he was asked about doing that, but also he made reference to what he plans to do in the future with WWE. He says, when I'm done, I want to be in the booth calling a Bears game, and then I want to be calling the shots in Gorilla in WWE. So let's do it all. Seth, we've been critical of how he handles himself sometimes with, getting his personality over and stuff like that. How do you think he would be creatively behind the scenes with WWE?
It's a different muscle. It's a different speed. And the only times that I've interacted with Seth, he was somewhat early in his Shield run. So I don't know how he is now, but to be the office guy, you really do have to be done. And you do have to be able to see the whole board and think in a fairly logical, composed manner. So some of the folks, it's surprising. Like you wouldn't think Michael Hayes would have excelled in that sort of job. There are some folks you would think would excel and didn't really fit into it. There's that weekly grind. You're still out on the road all the time. There is a nonstop nature and cadence to it. Once he's done in the ring and Becky's done in the ring, is he going to want to be home? Is he going to want to be on the road? He may be a great commentator. I think one of my favorite moments, I was just texting about this with somebody. When I was with the Panthers, we did pro wrestling night. We did it a couple times. We did it one year. And so we brought in some folks. I brought in people that I knew I could trust. So I brought in Tommy Dreamer. I brought in Ricky Steamboat. And I brought in Christian. This is when Christian was retired and thought he was never going to wrestle again. And NHL Network said, hey, we want to do a little drop in. Do you have somebody that you think can talk about hockey? And I'm like, let's put Christian on. So we put Christian on there. The guys had no idea who he was, the folks that were doing in the NHL desk. And Christian blew them away. He was so knowledgeable. He was articulate. He was funny. They were like, we could hire this dude tomorrow and he could be an NHL commentator and there'd be no learning curve. Like he would be ready to go. It's possible Seth has that same acumen. I don't know if I want to hear that voice over the course of a 3-hour broadcast. It's a little much. It's best in small doses. Look at the run.
Well, let me say this. I heard him on an interview. I don't know if it was this one in particular, but I saw a clip like on Instagram or wherever it was. And like the way he was talking and how he handled himself, I was like, that's the Seth I would like to see more so on WWE programming. It was a more organic version of himself. And like I do think he would probably be really good behind the commentary booth if he honed it back a little bit and found his just use his actual cadence and voice.
I wouldn't put him on commentary. No, I think he's perfectly situated where, yes, if they want to put him behind the scenes to be one of those guys that's going to sort of inherit the Triple H desk. It kind of feels like CM Punk is angling towards working at the Performance Center, being one of those guys who's helping build the next generation, being that next Dusty Rhodes. Seth being one of those folks that wants to kind of help Hunter, but Triple H is a young man, relatively speaking. He's still got, knock on wood, another several decades of being able to handle his responsibility there. I'd be curious to see how Seth is. Seth's instincts are not always great, and to your point, he does still feel like he's playing a character.
Absolutely, he does. He very much does. That's why
And
I think there's that loss of connection.
it took Roman a long time to become natural.
Yeah, it definitely did. Um, we got to talk about the Dom Mysterio injury too. Hurt his shoulder at AAA. I don't know if they gave a timetable for how long he's out for, or if he is going to be out for an extended period of time. But it'd be a big loss for WWE right now, especially heading into WrestleMania season.
It's a real shame if Dom is genuinely hurt, especially because you're gonna have to take a title off him that he just won.
Exactly.
And are there folks that could slide into that spot? Absolutely. If I'm WWE right now, there is a possibility of, let's just throw the whole thing behind the Vision.
Right.
Let's put, the tag titles are kind of languishing with AJ Styles and Dragon Lee, who are obviously very, very talented, but they're not a real team. They're a makeshift team, and AJ is at the twilight of his career to begin with, so it's not like there's years ahead of that. I'd say take a look at the guys in the Vision. Maybe give it to Logan Paul. Maybe give it to have Bronson Reed and Austin Theory merge together if they're going to go forward, and then let Braun Breaker go after the world title and let these guys really just be Evolution. Let them just go win all the titles.
Make it happen. Yeah, I think that's something to really kind of consider because, you want something to really fire up what's going on and heading towards WrestleMania. And I don't think that would be a really egregious mistake because you have some star power in there. People like Braun, Logan Paul is so polarizing. Plus, you have Paul Heyman in the mix too, and Bronson Reed is somebody that you can really fit into a lot of different places when it comes to that.
The other guy that I would actually potentially suggest for it is Finn. So JD McDonough on the shelf. If Dom is on the shelf, Judgment Day is essentially it's three women and Finn. It's a sitcom.
Yeah, Three's Company,
But
baby.
if Finn Balor were the Intercontinental Champion and you had him out there every week having great matches, putting him in there with Penta and with Rusev and with El Grande Americano and Gable when he's back. There's a lot of great wrestlers that are on Monday Night Raw, and I think there's a lot of fun matchups you could have with Finn Balor going into the remainder of 2026. Or if they just wanted to be funny, just give it to Ray. Just let Ray win it. He was always kind of our default guy of who are we going to put the Intercontinental title on? Or the US? Just put it on Ray.
Give it to Ray. Robert, before we close out, we're not going to be able to preview at World's End, unfortunately, before that show happens. Do you have any really big takeaways that you would expectations or anything from that show? Fatal 4-Way match is obviously the main event. Would you put that title on MJF?
I'd put it on AJ Styles, yes.
Yeah, right.
I got news for you. I got to look up what the heck the card is for 2025 World's End, what they have announced. So I'm going to pull it. I got it up right here. Of course, there's already 8 matches.
I didn't think they announced anything basically besides the main event.
So there's the 2 Continental Classic semifinals, which these may be AEW spoiler territory, so I'm going to avoid them. A Chicago street fight with FTR and the Bang Bang Gang, which I feel like we just saw the main event. That's I don't know. Babes of Wrath versus Mercedes Moné and Athena. There's no reason to take the titles off of them there, so it feels like this is just another Mercedes Moné L, which is what's continuously been happening to push her into who knows what. Chris Statlander, Jamie Hayter feels like a filler match. They're going to continue to just build Chris Statlander's stats up. So you're really looking at your main event, which is Joe, Swerve, Hangman, and MJF. If I'm AEW, screw it. Just put the title on Max. Just run with it. Just run with it. Joe served his purpose as the sort of transition guy. Let Hangman and Swerve chase MJF. Let other folks just make that guy the centerpiece for your company going forward, and determine if you're going to make him a heel or a babyface. You don't need to really commit on it just yet. That crowd wanted to cheer the hell out of Maxwell Jacob Friedman. Let him.
Yeah, just see where it leads, because Max has been able to show he's capable of steering the ship and handling it. So, and wherever those chips fall, and whoever, if he becomes on the more heelish side, lean that way. Babyface, it makes sense, make it happen. But I will be on the conference call potentially today with Tony Khan for that World's End pay-per-view preview. So I would have to cut out early, so I don't know if I'll actually get on the call or not, but we'll have to see. I'll keep you all posted about that. Also, real quick today.
You want me to give you a fun question to ask Tony Khan?
Sure.
So you have the Continental Classic.
Mm-hmm.
What is the winner of the Continental Classic yet? I'm genuinely asking.
No, I am too.
They get the Continental title, which doesn't mean anything other than you get to be the guy to hold this title until the next tournament, where you then may lose it.
Right.
It doesn't make sense for it to be defended throughout the title doesn't make sense. Like, you have the national title, the international, or whatever the other
I think it was
leg.
international.
There's an international title, there's a national title, there's a continental title, there's a TNT title, there's a TBS. There's a lot of titles. They don't mean a lot. They don't have any special anything to it. And while the Continental Classic tournament has been exceptional and it's a lot of fun to watch, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Whereas you have the Dynamite Diamond Ring, where the winner of that, I believe, gets a title shot.
Correct.
And then you have the Casino Gauntlet, where the guy gets a title shot. Like, if the goal is you want to be the world champion, everything you're doing should try to make you become world champion.
Right.
This tournament doesn't have a payoff other than you win a belt that doesn't mean a whole lot, because
that
you have
is a belt, or is it? It's like,
it would be the question that I would have. But
so I was going to ask that, or the potential of bringing in Mick Foley. That was going to be my other question.
Well, they can't bring Mick Foley in until July.
Sure.
The reality of it is, and also, and we talked about this quite a bit on Working Stiff with special guest Mike Lawrence popped up, co-host of
fun show, very
co-host,
fun
yes.
Show.
I said I don't know that I would necessarily be looking to bring Mick in, simply because if Mick left WWE because of their association with Donald Trump, and right now you have a deal with Warner Discovery, and Warner Discovery is still on the block, and that deal ultimately needs to be approved by the government in some form or fashion to make sure there's not any kind of claims of monopolization or anything like that. Do you want to bring in such a highly vocal person like Mick Foley, who's potentially going to, I can see them looking at it and be like, well, we'll do the Warner Discovery deal, but you got to get rid of this company because they have this rebel rouser. And AEW has been very smart of not really interjecting themselves in politics. But we shall see. That's 2026 problems. Like I said, we will be back next week. Dom will probably be back on Monday. I will definitely be back on Tuesday to wrap up the year. We'll catch up on all the news of the week. We'll talk all things World's End. If you want to hear more of myself and a little bit of Dom, you can tune in for the Working Stiff Patreon holiday party tomorrow evening at 6 o'clock Tuesday. Otherwise, that episode will go up on the regular feeds after. But until then, I hope you had a happy Hanukkah. If you had a happy Hanukkah, I hope you all have a Merry Christmas. Happy Festivus, which is tomorrow. And, obviously, I hope you all enjoy celebrating my birthday on Saturday.
Absolutely.
So on behalf of the jolliest man I know, Dominic D'Angelo, I'm Robert Karpelis. Best of luck in your future endeavors.
Ho, 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 everybody.
Shh.